And so, good morning, everybody. Welcome to MLS Monday. Obviously, I'm not in Florida. I'm here out in the West Coast. So it's pretty early here. Still, I don't know what time it is. I don't know where my phone's at. Um, but it's super early here. It's 3 hour time difference. But nonetheless, I wanted to make this MLS Monday. I am out of the office this week on personal time off. But this kind of topic excites me. Compliance is something that's near and dear to my heart as
What a
a
nerd.
prior practitioner. What's that?
What a nerd.
I know. Well, I'm a data nerd. So we can jump right in here. I'm going to see if I can share my screen and jump right in here. I did create a little bit of a PowerPoint for everybody, um, so that we have something to follow along with. I think it's important. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right.
Doesn't look like
So
a it looks beautiful.
yeah. Um, so as we talk about compliance, when we look at this, it's really about the data integrity. And we're gonna have some fun with this today. And I've got some good pictures in here for everybody to get some good laughs off of. But obviously, it's an important topic for us. And let's be honest. I mean, if you're practicing real estate and you're using this as your source of truth, and you're taking clients out to look at homes, you're relying on this information to be accurate, right? So the information that's in there, whether it's got a pool, what where the lanai face is, what exposure it has, how many garage faces it's got, you're relying on important information on that. And I know sometimes realtors get bent on the seller filling out a seller disclosure and the accuracy of that, but this here is just as important, right? Because when you show up to a property that the client sits down with you and you do a buyer um, basically intake or consultation with your buyers, and you sit down and find out what they need, and you start to pull properties to set appointments up, and they tell you their must-haves, and you go off the information of the pictures that um, are out there. And let's say, for example, they want something newly renovated, and the pictures look like it's newly renovated, but those are AI generated pictures, and it's what could be a possibility, but that's the current condition. It's not disclosed to you in a very transparent manner. Then you show up there and the house needs a complete renovation, and who looks like the knucklehead, right? It's the buyer's agent looks that way. So it's important to have this information accurate. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about today and kind of have some fun with it. But so why do we do compliance? Really protect the public from misinformation. It levels a playing field, ensuring data's accuracy and reliability. It's a source of truth for you, and it supports a healthy marketplace by enforcing rules. So that's why we do it. And we'll end with a similar slide of our conversation today. But I want to first talk about photos, right? Because uh, they said picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So video's worth how much? And if you're doing photos, photos are important, right? So they're the first impression that drive interest. As people are going through and they're scrolling on social media, on listings, or they're scrolling on, any of the online portals, really having a dynamic, great picture, stop that scroll, people will pay attention to it. And we got some facts on that as well that we'll share with you that prove this. Showcase property features effectively. That's important. Being able to show the things that the home has. We've had conversations currently. I think we allow 50 pictures in there. Is that correct?
Yes.
In the MLS. So
Yep.
there's been talks about, increasing that. And I have to laugh because, most on the average, I think we got like 24 pictures on average is what people are using. So we're not even using the capacity we currently have. But with that being said, if you got some great pictures and use a professional photographer, we'll talk about where you can find, some good ones. It increases the perceived value to that buyer. Faster sales and higher offers. That's a fact. I can show you statistics on that today too. And then wider online reach and engagement. So those are just some of the things that photos do for you. So let's have some fun with this. I was able to pull some horrendous pictures, and I will say that Joanna has not seen this yet. So I do apologize as we go
It's
through. But so, I mean, it's Halloween, right?
Yes.
So I don't know. This is really an MLS picture, and it's not none of these are our MLS pictures. So when I go around and I used to speak on stage all over the country, I would have people text to a code the worst MLS picture they had, and we would do a drawing. So I have hundreds and hundreds of MLS pictures that are just like this. But this is interesting. I mean, this is somebody actually put in there. I mean, let's look at the obvious stuff. Obviously, there's a clown at the door. Um, and I know it's Halloween, so I thought I want to have some fun with this one. But you get the dishes out there. There's no lights on in this thing. It's super dark. It just a lot of things wrong with this. I mean, besides the obvious, right? Picture on that. So here's a nice pool. Um, I don't know why you'd even would include this. To be honest with you, I mean, I guess in some ways people would say, well, you want to include it so that people don't make the trip out there and find out that the pool's actually a swamp. But on the flip side of that, I'd rather have them come in and fall in love with the house versus not show up and because of the pool, right? And this all could be fixed. And by the way, again, I'm not your attorney, I'm not your broker, and I am not a therapist, but I would tell you that I would negotiate the pool being clean before we closed on it. There's all kinds of things you could do, right? So interesting picture there. Um, the one thing I did not buy was bring with me was a mouse, Joanna. So I'm actually using the keyboard. Um, this is interesting. I don't understand. There's literally mattresses in the pool. I don't know if those are air mattresses or what, but there's also furniture in the bottom of it. Again, I mean, these are real pictures that people actually put in the MLS, which is interesting to me. Um, so this is true. This is off of actually a portal, but they actually upload the picture upside down. But the chair is right side up. So that's how he showed up in the portal. I'm like, okay, this is odd. But again, double check your work, right? It's important. I mean,
If it's the first photo, I'm gonna stop and look at it though. Could be a good tactic.
it could be a good tactic, but I'm sure your customer would not love the fact that you got it. I don't get this either. So besides a creepy dude in the door, you should never, ever, ever have people in your photos, right? Um, I mean, I don't know what they're showing here. I mean, it's Halloween week, so I don't know. There's no body parts in the fridge. I'm not sure why they had that open. Um, but interesting. Just again, you gotta love it.
Jason, I
Um,
know that we used to have a rule where you couldn't have people in there at all, but they do allow, for at least our association, our MLS, we allow there to be personal presence and images. So I know people hire models and things like that, but there's obviously a difference between somebody getting caught off guard, like, the community photos, somebody swimming in the pool, next thing you know, they're like all across Zillow. There's a difference between that and like paying people to model the home.
yeah, definitely. I mean, we do allow that. If there's a good reason to have that.
Mhm.
I don't know from a marketing perspective if that's got any stickiness to a consumer, right? But we do allow that. And again, as long as it's not branding, right? So you can't have your model and they're wearing your company T-shirt and
Right.
have branding in it. But yeah, we do allow people in it. But yeah, if and we talk about getting professional photography done um, because of those things, and even if you have a clown in the door and you have a creepy guy in the doorway, you could get that stuff removed. I mean, professional photographers get that stuff out of there. And a lot of them have standards. I mean, when I worked with two photographers specifically, they absolutely would not even shoot the house if there was things out of place, and they would actually move stuff and put it back, but move stuff off countertops, etc. When they went in and did it. And the reason why they're so good is they see the analytics on the backside of these photos. They see what's being seen, and they see how fast things sell, and they watch this stuff, so they know they have some good information what the consumer thinks is a good photo versus what we think. So again, this is an example of I don't know why somebody load this up. It just again, there's no violation here, by the way. It's just what are you doing for your product at the end of the day?
Oof.
Yeah. So the first
What?
thing that sticks out to me is the girl that's upside down on the ceiling. Um, I don't know what that is.
Like the
Um,
poltergeist.
yeah, it's just weird. And again, there's a creepy thing in the window in the back. Like I don't know if that's, but I picked these ones because it's Halloween week, right? Um, I did because it's like, okay, so I got the creepy upside down girl. I don't know what that is. It's actually in the house. I don't know. And then you get the creepy thing in the back window back here. Um, I don't know. But again, the lot is bit. You take those two things out of there, it's still very busy, right?
Mm,
That table makes it look like there's not a lot of room. There's like two tables in the middle. There's a file cabinet back there. I just don't know. It's just like, part of selling stuff. I know it's not really a compliance thing, but good photos sell. I know as somebody that's been looking at houses myself, I go off of pictures, right? I go off of pictures, I go off of description. Those are the two things I look at. And I think that, when you look at stuff, it's like, oh, it's too much work. If I need to move into something and I want to close in 60 days, this guy's not gonna be able to move up for 60 days, you
mm.
know,
That's not a quick close.
just by packing the books up. It's a long close. So again, I don't know what to say about this one. This one's,
Creative.
I mean, the toilet bucket thing is kind of interesting. Yeah,
Mm,
I don't know. I mean, right off the bat, I mean, what other issues are you going to have with your inspection? Um, but again, this was something. Listen, we allow up to 50 pictures. You need a minimum of how many pictures Joanna would have in the MLS to make it go live?
one.
One. This is not the one you should probably put in the MLS to make it go live.
It could be.
If
Question mark.
it's, if it's, I mean, let's tell you.
Oh my
So
God.
again, yeah, it's a real picture.
Realistic
Uh,
photo.
I like realistic photo. So I like cats. I like Doritos, and I like Yahoo or Yoo-hoo,
You.
Yoo-hoo, Yahoo, Yoo-hoo. I like all three of those things, right? I even like Star Wars, but a lot going on here. Holes in the wall, etc. I mean, this is not going to get somebody to come in. Um, and by the
It
way, you can imagine what the smell is of this room, right?
Yeah. Patty Ketchum used to always say, if I can smell it, I can't sell it. That's all that this picture makes me think of.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Um, so again, sometimes we get dealt things that we have to deal with, right? And it may not be something that, but we gotta get creative with it. And then here's another picture. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about that one.
How? There's no way. Did you AI that?
No, I did not, but I don't think that that's safe. I don't think that would pass a home inspection, having a socket inside your sink. And why would
No.
you put that on the MLS? Again, there's your front elevation picture.
Passes compliance, guys.
It
It's
does pass compliance. I put your home with the best light, but that would pass compliance. That's your
not
photo,
sure
your
what
front
finger.
elevation.
Yeah, is it like this or the finger that covers half the screen as they're taking the photo?
If you look at it long enough, it actually comes into focus, which is kind of nice. Um,
Oh.
so yeah, this one's got some graffiti in it a little bit. It's got some cabinets missing. Yeah, just again, I get it, but there's ways to crop things out and not have them on there. You don't want vulgarity on the MLS. You don't want, things like that. Pictures of we had a couple pictures, Joanna, didn't we have some pictures of some
I was
inappropriate
gonna
art?
say, like, so recently, and it's actually been very popular recently, not sure why it's been a hot topic. But you want to be careful about what you put on the MLS. Like you can partially see, you can figure out what they're trying to say in this photo. But just last week or 2 weeks ago, we had somebody who uploaded a new listing, and the home had about four different pieces of artwork in it that were full nudity, which great, everybody's got their own sense of style and their own sense of taste. We don't discriminate, but we did get a lot of people who were clicking the report button on it. And do we have a rule against nudity in the MLS? No, but somebody did call in and say, if you don't do something about this, I'm reporting you guys for distributing nudity, because it goes to Zillow, it goes to realtor.com. And we had somebody call in going off about the licensing law of distributing nudity, which was a great learning lesson for me. And I was like, okay, look, so, just, and we get that a lot. We've got, some that's tasteful and some that's not tasteful. So do look at your picture. And there's professional photos. They just didn't take any stuff off the wall before they posted it.
Yeah, I had a similar property off of McGregor years back, um, and they had several pictures of nude men in the house.
Yeah.
And we made a take it down for photographing. We had professional photography. That was $1.5 million house, but they put pictures back up right afterwards. So when we had open houses and things, a lot of the people that came in that had that kind of money were offended by what they saw. And we had, you always do the sheets at open house, the property, price and condition. That is completely redone, gorgeous home. But every one of those feedback sheets had in there about the artwork. So again, it's just one of those learning things as well. But yeah, definitely don't put it in the MLS. So here's a family bathroom, I think. I don't even know what this is. But again, this bizarre stuff. And these are real life things. Um, Again, when you talk about staging a home, I don't know that putting a chair in the middle of your bathroom, what is that? I mean, even if that's where you sit in the morning and maybe read your paper, I don't know. Um, Maybe don't put the chair in there. I don't know. Very different. Very, very different. This is the bunk bed bathtub combo.
Listen, creative space.
It
Is
is. It, it is. There's a
that
guy in
something
the,
that realtors would call cozy?
yeah. Like this is like, what is this? Like again, not a compliance issue, right? But who would do this? Like this is the picture they put up there.
No,
Um,
I don't do dolls.
yeah, that's just I don't know what this is. This dollhouse? I don't know. But yeah, there's I guess there's you probably need to fit your body up there. I know these are all very drastic and over the top photos, but I mean, right, we see things all the time, Joanna, that come through that may
Yeah.
not get reported, but we see it, or they do get reported. It's not a violation, but there's just there's some stuff even in our own local.
Yeah, you talked a lot about being cautious, look before you upload. And I think that's the biggest mistake that's made here. And it's not so much compliance issues, but it's issues where it's going to hurt you in the long run. I can't tell you the amount of times I've called realtors who take their own photos, right? And they're doing that thing where they take a photo of the bathroom, they don't even look to see themselves in the mirror. And I've actually,
Hmm.
in the past month, I've called three realtors who were like doing like one of these, holding up high, and like their stomach is in the mirror and they're uploading it to the MLS. And I'm like, hey, did you like what an awkward phone call? Do you realize that you just put like your stomach across like all of these syndication
But
sites? What? I didn't even see it. You didn't look at the photo before you uploaded it. You're in the mirror, your belly's hanging out, love you to death, but please like fix it, They don't look. We had somebody call us last week panicking because it wasn't until it was uploaded and distributed across the whole internet. They had 15 listing photos, but they uploaded 30 photos. The other 15 were their daughter's wedding photos. Just by
oh
mistake
wow.
them all and they like threw it out there. So just be cautious when you're uploading your stuff. And I know you're getting into more than the photos, but just on the photo part, I think that's where we see a lot of the mistakes made.
Yeah, I think double check all your work before you make it go live, right? Because once you launch it, it's out there, and it's really, really hard to get pictures off of these portals, as we
Yeah.
know from experience with it. Um, it's just super hard. So make sure that you double check your work, the photos you want. It's your final product. And I will just speak like I know when I first started, we had kind of the same thing you just talked about. We had a gentleman that went out and took 3 listings in a weekend, and did his own photos. He, had a nice camera, wasn't on his phone, and a real nice camera. Photos are great, but he loaded
Yep.
up the wrong photo to the wrong listing, and that went out. So, where it said it was a condo, people are looking at the house going, "This is a pool home," and it was just a
Yeah.
mistake. But he was tired and whatever else. But it took us. I mean, this was back in September 23 or 24, 23. We took us like 2 or 3 days to get everything corrected, but his customers were upset. So
Yeah.
all you had to do is go in there and look at these photos, make sure they're in the order you want, right?
Yeah.
Your first 5 photos should be the ones that are highlight the home the best, right? Your first five. It doesn't go in order of rooms. You don't have to think about it as walking the front door and that's the first photo you see, and then you make a left. That's the second photo. Think of the top 5 that you have as being the ones that make the biggest impact with the consumer. They're going to see those photos. But if you do make a mistake, I mean, you can give us a call. most of the stuff we do see, honestly, is that mistake that Joanna's talking about, and I've seen it as well. Just be awfully cautious on it. Those mistakes are just a lot of time and energy to correct it.
Mhm.
And once it's out on the internet, once we syndicate a listing, it's out of our control. As long as you're within the licensing agreement, it's hard for us to have any kind of say so over that. So um, next, we talk about descriptions, which obviously can be a nightmare. And this kind of leads into a couple topics, but this is an actual description. If you're a fan of horror tricks and the supernatural, you'll love this creepy feel of this home with all the boards, cold walls, and of course the haunted exterior look with broken sliding weeds growing into the home. I mean, it's fine. You also have time scraping off the lead-based paint, being half of it is already missing. So this is an actual description that came out of an MLS listing. Again, it's not our MLS, but that was interesting how people try to describe homes. Um, I thought this was interesting screenshot here. Literally the worst house on the street. The seller has done the hard work of cleaning up almost half the acre. Took almost 7 dumpsters. Can you imagine this house? You ever watched HEV and thought I could do that? If so, pack up your tape measure, start Googling how to identify load bearing wall. So this is again description in there. There's nothing again that's a compliance nightmare necessarily with this, but this is actually stuff that people put out there. Just amazing. Um,
That's a great way to catch an investor.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the actual house.
Oh,
So this is actually the house that he was describing there. Um, they, you know,
oh,
they clean up the exterior, but this is it. So whatever. But my point with this is it does match exactly what you're getting, right? So when you look at um your description, you need to describe the house, and everything that was read there and written is this house. It's a handyman special, if you will. It's a fixer upper for sure. There's holes in the ceiling, things are missing. They cleaned up the exterior, and they probably just gave up on the flip or whatever they're trying to do with it. But now they put it back on the market. So, but I think it's your pictures and your home and your description should all tie together. It shouldn't be anything that's misleading or out of the out in left field. So I put this in here. This is actually a really nice pictures out of Austin, Texas. I mean, would this stop the scroll? Absolutely. You got vibrant lights. You got the shimmer off the water. This is a gorgeous sunset picture of a beautiful home in Austin, Texas. So, um, when I win the lottery, that's a house I'm going to buy. It's got a little swim up bar there too, a little tiki bar on the left. But yeah, so I mean, this will stop the scroll. It's an example of a good picture. And using professional photography, it's a professional photographer that took this picture. And there's some benefits along with that. So why hire a professional photographer? Um, so these again, the statistics, home sell faster, 32% faster than low quality images. Again, you want to upload these images into your MLS. Professional photographer, it does cost some money. I get it. But the return on that investment is 10 times. So, you want to make sure that you have your professional photographer set up. I will kind of dive into what we launched this past month in September, which is delayed marketing. And delayed marketing allows you to, if you have to take a placeholder photo, an elevation photo to throw in there while you're waiting for that photographer to give you the good photos, you can put it in the MLS, put active, but put delayed marketing, which is under which tab in the MLS, Joanna? Syndication?
yes.
So under syndication, it says delayed marketing. Yes, no, you can delay market up to 7 days. Just know that if you don't have your photography back by then, that will go out that seventh day with the other picture in it. So, but it gives you a placeholder, allows you to show the property. Nobody wants to keep it off the market any longer than they have to. So if they want to get it out there and see if the price is right, see if people are going to show it, make appointments, they can do that. And then upload those photos when they come. And then on the seventh day, automatically it's going to get syndicated out. So delayed marketing. A lot of people do like a coming soon, right? So NAR's rule is sort of like that, but it has to be in the MLS, has to be showable. Um, and again, you can delay up to 7 days in our market. So anything you want to add to that on delayed marketing? Okay.
No,
Uh,
I think we're seeing it getting used a little bit more and more as people get comfortable with it, but it's just a great option there for you guys. And if you are looking at something where maybe in the long run you don't want it getting syndicated at all, we've got that option for you as well. So the delayed marketing, like Jason said, it'll allow it for 7 days. But right next to it in that same tab, you can click listing on the internet, yes or no. And if it's something you don't want going out on the internet at all, go ahead and click no for that for like a more permanent option.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Um, and then higher sale price, there's proof of that. There's all kinds of stats that we have, anywhere between 2 to 4% average higher sale price. That can be significant depending on the price of the home. But it just says that perceived value. Increased online engagement. We talked about stopping the scroll. That's true with high quality image. It is considered rich media, which I talk a lot about because that itself gives you extra boost on the portals. The portals give preferential treatment to listings that have floor plans, listings that have high resolution photos, videos, uh, walkthrough tours, virtual tours, etc. They give higher weight to those, and they end up going on the top of the search. So online engagement increases, and then professionalism, just being the professional that you guys all are. So I want to talk a little bit about the most commonly violated multiple listing rules, right? For us, this is not in an order 1 through 10 or a list, but these are the ones that come up kind of the most prominent. Insufficient missing photos. Again, we do not allow people to delete photos prior to closing. Doing so because let's face it, so the MLS itself is a database that realtors and appraisers use to get historical data about homes. So if you're doing a CMA or if the appraiser's doing an appraisal, they're using that information, that data. So that data is important. So that's why we want those photos in there. A lot of brokerages, as I do my broker office visits, I did one last week, that they have an internal rule that you're not allowed to take anything out because they want to be able to know that their agents can use it. And it looks bad on the broker. And this is the broker saying last week is because it looks bad on me if I allow you guys to delete photos, even if it's a violation. MLS looks bad on me because we're all on the same team. And I'm not going to let anybody take any information out of the MLS that works in this office because one of your colleagues may be using that to do a comp down the road. So it's that mindset that is correct. I mean, we want those photos in there. So don't strip the photos out. We do have some things coming up that will probably be launching once all the bugs are worked out that will help us with that. But when people say they want the photos out of the MLS, they're not really talking about that. They're talking about they want the actual photos out of the online
Zillow.
portals off the internet. Yeah, I mean, that's what they want. And the MLS is it's a professional database for professionals. And once you put that listing closed, that syndication stops, right? So just removing them is not going to fix your problem of it wanting it to be off Zillow. Once Zillow gets your photos, it's going to be on Zillow.
Got it.
But we can provide you if you do have that problem. Our support team will be able to provide you with a 1-page sheet or 2-page sheet. They'll walk you through how to get them off the internet, and that's really what your people want. Okay. Next one is failure to update listing status. That's whether if it goes pending, and the rules and regulations on the you can find them in a couple different places on our website. You can find them on our dashboard. But failure to update listing status, that's just good. That's just good citizenship in the MLS world, right? In real estate. If it goes pending or pending contingent, change that status right away. That should be one of the first things you do. If it closes, you got to turn it to close. Don't keep it open. For whatever reason, like, get my check yet. Well, that's not a reason to keep the thing open. One of the things it does is it increases the number of days from the time it went on the market to the time it closed, which is something we track. People track that. And again, if we're looking at doing comparables and you're like, well, why didn't this one close? It took so long to close. What was wrong with it? Just gives people, bad information to come up with some kind of idea in their head of the reasons why. So failure to update listing status is a good one. Inaccurate or incomplete property information. This is all kinds of stuff. I mean, my favorite one is the southern facing exposure. It's not southern facing. It just sounds really good. People don't think it's going to be a big deal. There was a lady that called, I think it was last week Thursday. It was last week Thursday. It was a board of directors meeting when I got back in and I got the phone call. And it was a member of the public that bought a house in Cape Coral. And she found out that, and she bought it sight unseen. She's actually a principal of one of the schools in the area, and she found out she's got a septic tank. And she said in the MLS, which I looked at, it said city water, city sewer. Well, city sewer is not a septic tank. And she got the inspection done, never got the septic tank inspected. She moved from Chicago down here. She's a principal. She paid cash for the house. She did a basic home inspection, 4 point, just to get insurance and be able to know there's nothing major with it. She had no idea she had a septic. She thought it was a water and sewer with the city. And she says, "What do I do?" Now she's got the septic tank. So that was bad information. But where's the buyer's agent in this thing, or where's the listing agent in this thing? So inaccurate or incomplete information is big. Um, Agent branding, your promotional content and photos and remarks. Again, Joanna spoke about, if you want to model in your photos, those types of things, you could do that. You just can't wear your, polo logo shirt. Can't wear, you could be in the picture. You can't wear your baseball cap with your logo on it, right? So no agent
And
promotion or photos.
the biggest one we have with that is the signs in the photo as well. So, and that is a rule in on its own. No signs, no for sale signs in the photos that would have any of your contact information, any of your branding, anything like that. And I know a lot of the times we get the sign up and the photographer goes out, they take the picture, right? Just white it out. It takes a quick second to white that sign out, and then you're in compliance.
Yeah, yeah, sign's a big one. Sign's a
Mhm.
really big one. We see it all the time too. Um, Improper use of public remarks. Again, that's another one that comes up quite a bit. Putting things in public remarks that shouldn't be there. It's not it's not good.
I think our biggest one lately, which has been just very rampant, is fair housing and just making
Ooh,
sure
I got
housing. Yeah, you got one. So I bring it up just because I think, which, if you've been coming to our MLS Mondays regularly, you've sat through a few of Jason's AI ones, and a lot of people are using ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is not trained to be fair housing compliant, and they will put things like great for a small family, great for a cute couple, things like that. They talk a lot about familia status, and you can't do that within fair housing. But even so, with that, I add on the fact we talked about being careful when you upload your photos, be careful when you upload your public remarks. If you are using AI, when you copy paste that, our compliance manager is like at the point where it's probably 3 to 4 times a week. It's catching in our AI that detects the call to action words. The bottom of the property description will say, is this good for you? Or would you like me to rewrite your remarks in a more luxury style or this or that? They're copying the whole thing, including the ChatGPT conversation. And it's embarrassing because clearly you didn't write your own remark. But because there's a call to action from ChatGPT that says, let me know or let me know what you want or this or that, it's bringing it up on our AI, and we're reaching out to them like, hey, your whole conversation's in there, you want to go back and delete it. It's asking, AI is asking you what you want to do, and you put it in the public remarks.
all right. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff on that.
Fair
On the fair
housing.
housing thing. Yeah, yeah. Failure to report sales or enter closed data again. I don't know why that's so hard, but when I ran my brokerage, my agents didn't get paid till it was closed in the system. Non-compliance with clear cooperation policy. Again, this is probably one of the things that's probably in my mind ticking up, at least the conversation I have internally in the office there, where people they don't get it. Like if you're advertising considered anything to do with promotion of the property for sale. So we're having people think that they're creative and they're saying, they're taking pictures of the house and going, this is coming soon, but not putting the address. And that they think they're getting away with something because the address isn't there. Well, then the neighbor reports them because she's a realtor and she didn't get the listing. So she's upset and she's able to show there's a sign in front of the house on top of the fact that it's in Facebook. And then, she's not going to launch it for 3 or 4 days. And now she's in clear cooperation policy violation. And that's $500. So again, it just don't try to shortcut it. Just do the right thing with it. And then outdated or past estimated close dates is another one. If you have a close date gets bumped, you got to bump out your close date. We want to make sure that the days on market, the days from launch to close, all those things are accurate. And then unauthorized use or sharing of MLS data. So again, you cannot share your login ID. There is MFA. We do track that. There is a fine to it. We have one lady that her ID was used in Illinois, Michigan, Florida, Alabama, and Kentucky, all within the same 5 minutes. I'm pretty sure she does not have a DeLorean time machine. So do not share your passwords or your information with anybody. So that was the other one. Oh, fair housing, Joanna, fair housing. Fair housing
Clever.
violations. So again, fair housing, anything with marital status, children, age, gender, religion, all that stuff falls under fair housing. Joanna's point, we were seeing an uptick on it,
Mhm.
a significant uptick on this. So just want to kind of set the record straight because I had a conversation with a broker that called in last week about this. We asked him to take something out of the listing. We didn't fine him. We just want, and I will say this, my public service message real quick. The compliance that we do is to ensure the data is accurate. We want you to have confidence in the data that you're receiving, that you're paying for. You're paying a subscription and you're paying subscription fees for all the tools we give you, all the great things that are in there. But most importantly, that MLS data, that data is critical. Data is gold. And we want the data to be accurate. We want to have the confidence to go out there and show property and know that if it says southern facing exposure, that that is in fact what you're going to get. If it says city water and sewer, that is in fact what you're going to get. So that's the important part for us. We're not here to find people or you gotcha. You've got a 3-day right to cure on most of the rules. The other rules that you don't is commission in the MLS and clear cooperation if it's past the clear cooperation time. So if you had it in the MLS, you put it in the in Facebook on Wednesday, and we catch you on Monday, you already passed that time. It's an automatic fine. Or not using a buyer broker agreement. Everything else you can fix, right? For us, we want the data fixed. So this individual, we had asked him to take some information out of the listing, clear violation of fair housing. He was just upset about it while we're doing that, yada yada yada. But we're protecting you. Okay, like I said, we're not fining necessarily on some of this stuff. We're giving you the right to cure it. So it's not like we're trying to make money on it, right? But what we are trying to do is protect you. So civil penalties for violations, and these are MLS violation for fair housing. Civil penalties, U.S. Department of Justice can impose civil penalties up to 20,597 for the first violation. They can go up to $129,000. So, I know that our $500 clear cooperation and our $1,000 commission MLS fines are very steep. This is crazy steep. And that's the Department of Justice. They don't play games. If you remember, those are the people that were after NAR on several things with regards to some lawsuits. So that's what you could get. So if somebody wanted to report you Department of Justice and they're bored, that's a big deal, like $25,000. And there's articles, if you go to Inman, if you subscribe to Inman and you go in there and talk about U.S. Department of Justice fines and penalties for fair housing, you'll find actual people, brokers and agents throughout the country that did get this fine because they're cracking down on it. So we're trying to protect you as well. So damages and fees, the party can personally go after the realtor or broker for the damages in court. So again, whether it's the person that lists the property with you, right, the seller or the landlord, because we've seen a lot of this stuff on the rental side of the world, as well as anybody else that feels that they got damaged because of it, right? That they were steered because of your verbiage in your description. So fair housing is no joke. And then NAR is up to $15,000 fee that NAR gives us the authority as the Realtor Association at the MLS for this to fine up to $15,000. So ours is small compared to Department of Justice, right? So, but we want to protect you. We want to make sure that you're not violating these fair housing rules. So if you get calls, take it out. Be cognizant to what Joanna said. If you're using some kind of AI, which everybody's using AI now, using some kind of AI to do your description, just reread it. Some of the things you talk about, and is innocent, and this is where it gets me. It's $1,000 fine per commission in the MLS. Most people do it, and they may not know the rule, but that's ignorance. But they purposely put it in there to promote the fact they're having commission right on the deal, so they could violate $1,000 fine. This could be something very innocent by saying, it's 4 blocks from the closest Catholic church. You can't put that in there. Like that's a religion thing. But as innocent as that may be, it is a violation of fair housing. So just make sure you're very cognizant of that. It's a big deal, and I don't want anybody to pay any kind of fines out there in our MLS. It's our job to help educate everybody, but at the end of the day, it's your job to make sure that you understand it too. So, um, what are
And
some of the violations that we're seeing on this stuff?
we do have a question from, I think, because it just says Morris. I'm gonna assume that's you, Maggie. It says they're putting in a request that we get Inman for agents since you're bringing it up.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of the violations that we're seeing around that, it's really just in the description, and it's mostly, like I said, it's mostly familial status. I think, very innocently, a lot, whether it's AI or not, people talk about like the size of a home. They like to talk about the size of the family or the persona that would fit that home, and you just can't. We know
Yeah.
you guys mean it innocently, and we're not, you always talk about fair housing violations, and you think that like people's minds automatically jump to, oh, somebody was being like mean or gracious or just attacking people in the MLS, and that's not what it was. It's really people just kind of trying to put that personification on a home, but at the end of the day, that could harm somebody or hurt somebody, because they always say, oh, for a small family, and it's like, well, I don't have a small family, so is the house not for me?
Hmm.
So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, either segregating somebody away from the home or steering them toward a certain home. Um, yeah. I mean, that's what we're seeing. So, yeah, that's the thing that gets me is it's the innocence of it, right? Nobody's out there, blasting somebody for whatever. Completely innocent in the way they write the description, but it ends up being a fair housing violation. So that's it's kind of the
And the
problem,
the
unfortunately.
next yeah, the next comment we got, what she says, also not sure about the Catholic Church thing. So I think you're talking about maybe pointing out location wise to churches.
Yeah, I mean, if you're pointing out location to a church or a synagogue or something like that, where it brings religion into the description, right? Um, there's other ways of saying that versus pointing out it's a Catholic church or it's a Protestant or Baptist or whatever. So, um, I think that you want to stay away from, the key foundation of fair housing, which is, religion, family status, race. Those things are all part of the fair housing. So you want to stay away from things that would draw attention to any of those, I guess, um, in your descriptions.
I
So
think I've
I'm using, yep,
I've got one that's an example I can bring up on screen too, that
okay.
just caught last week, and they're like, oh yeah, AI, which we get it. It was cute, right? They're trying to bring in the fall vibes. You can see they're talking about pumpkin spice lattes, budget friendly, bold personality, lots of dashes in here. So AI, PSL not included, very important, but close to a dozen of coffee shops. Bonus perk, water included, more cash for cozy sweaters or pumpkin muffins, off-street parking, not haunted. We triple checked. Ideal for solo dwellers or cuddly couples if you're into clean, affordable, and loaded with charm. So that's what triggered our AI was couples, solo dwellers. This is where the fair housing got reported actually um, by somebody else as well. So very, very cute description here, but just be cautious, when they start to talk about that familial status.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, this is a great description, right? Because I mean, it really has that it'll stop the scroll. So it does, from a marketing, I think it's genius. Um,
As PSL
but
got me.
um, but to your point, you're talking about, single people, you're talking about couples married. Yeah, you cross that threshold there. And it's so easy to do. And to your point, I mean, the AI is not trained. I mean, there are AI tools out there that, you have to train AI. If you guys are familiar with it, I mean, I do a lot of talking about AI. Um, and if you go to our YouTube channel, what's that?
But it's a hot topic.
It is. And if you go to our YouTube channel, I did an AI presentation. I think it was when you were on vacation, Joanna, or off for a day. I don't think you were on vacation, but you were out for the day. And I did an MLS Monday a couple weeks ago that was AI. And we uploaded that to YouTube. And if you want to hear some really good, fantastic AI tools that you can use, go check out that video. But I think that when people just copy and paste and don't go through it, that's the mistake, right? That's the mistake because you and I both know that just out of the box, whether it's Grok or it's, ChatGPT, which is one of the OGs, or anything else, it hallucinates and it doesn't have any kind of boundaries or training around fair housing. So it's going to put in there what sounds good from a marketing perspective, but it's not going to be fair housing compliant. There are ones out there you can train to be fair housing, and there's a way to train your AI, which reminds me you should probably do another AI MLS Monday at some point. But there's a way to go in there and train your AI to actually always speak in fair housing terms. There's a way to set it up on the out of the box free version, but if you're paying for the pro version, there's a way that all of your stuff will sound the same. So you train it to speak the way that you want the persona to be. So, and you can train it on fair housing, but out of the box and the free versions never are trained. So you're getting a lot of hallucinations, you're getting a lot of fair housing violations, and those types of things. I mean, just be careful on it. So,
Absolutely. And
all
I
right.
that we provide, like in Agent 3000, they have a script writer, they've got it trained. So a lot of your real estate tools, you still want to double check it, always double check it. But they've trained
Mhm.
their tools to make sure that it complies with fair housing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just want to double check it. So, I'm going to say two more things, and then I'll have Joanna kind of give her thoughts on this as well. But as we look at the compliance nightmares that we have, I mean, the compliance nightmare is there's three stakeholders in this, right? Um, every one of us that use the data, right? Whether you're showing a home, you're doing a CMA for a listing you're about to take, um, or anything of that nature. Those that are paying for it, that are using that data, they are a stakeholder. So, it's a nightmare for them to have bad information. It could affect valuations, it could affect what you're showing for a property, and it takes away the value of you paying your subscription fees that the data is not accurate, right? So we spend a lot of time and money and effort on good data for you. Secondly, is the consumer, right? Um, how they not only perceive the house that they're looking at, because that's how homeowners start their search. I mean, it's no secret, 89% or 91%, depending on what study you look at, say that they start their search online. So they're hoping, and their stakeholder in being a buyer, that information is accurate. Okay. And we've seen it too with fat finger stuff, right, Joanna? I saw it on a lot. Somebody
Jason's
had a
a pro
lot.
at that.
What?
I said, Jason can be a pro at fat fingering stuff.
Oh, yeah. So, well, we've seen it. We've seen somebody said 123,000 square feet of property,
Yeah.
and it's 12,300 and some square feet of property. It's one extra zero. But
Yeah.
that went out, and people are like, oh my God, how many acres is that? That's huge. And what a great deal for 299. But
Yeah.
it was not true, or square footage of the home itself, or just that very simple thing, right? So we are working on this. I'm gonna let you speak to this a little bit, Joanna, because I know it's in our cadence on what we got going on, and you're kind of in charge of that. So, but there's going to be we've got a validate button right now, and one of the number one questions I get all the time is what the validate button do. Today it doesn't do much. We'll talk about that, but in the future, we're working on with our vendor for us to check against some of our rules, right? So,
Yeah.
can you speak to how that's going to work? And I mean, I know it's in the cadence. I don't know time frame, but what can you speak
Yeah.
to that on?
So it's kind of twofold, right? It's us kind of pushing and asking for more, and the vendor is building out the tech. So right now, the validate button does a quick scan through, make sure you're not missing anything that you're required to have. It's very basic validate button. But what we will be having in the future here is an entire new input screen. And I know, like, you guys hear that, you probably freak out right away. I promise you, it's all the same fields. It just runs down one long screen. It's a lot more user friendly. It fills the whole screen, so it's bigger. But with that comes the capability of some new buttons, new functionalities. So when you click validate, the same program that we have built in internally that checks the listings and looks for violations, it will run that through your entire listing and let you know, hey, like, this is like, it'll highlight words in red. This is a trigger word. You put commissions, you can't have commissions. anything that we would find, it will find for you. Obviously, right now it's not at the point where it's scanning photos. They're hoping to see that maybe in the next year or so, where we could be able to scan photos for things. It'll be able to scan it for signs, but all the other things that we talked to earlier, it's not in development yet. But what you guys will be able to see is right from upload, it'll mark everything in red that could potentially be a problem that would flag our compliance officer so that you're not getting that call from her. You're taking care of it right away. And you'll be able to look at it and say, hey, like, yeah, this is fine. You know, we've got a lot of people right now, for example, that put in that something was commissioned or the commissioners. They're not talking about compensation and commission, right? And it flags our system and we can say, oh, nope, they're not talking about compensation and commission. So you would be able to say the same thing. You would say, nope, this isn't compensation and commission. It just has that term in there and you would be able to move forward to the next step.
Yeah, so it's going to work off of our set of rules and
Yes.
its own kind of mini listing data checker for you guys prior to hitting submit. So you'll be able to say, hey, these are 3 or 4 things that flagged. Yes, I'm good with it. I don't think they're a violation based on the rules. That's not what I meant. It's not commission.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to change this from couples to and families to, take the entire sentence out, whatever. But it'll give you that power to make sure that you're in compliance with the rules and regs for the most part. So, and that will be launching probably in Q1
Yeah.
um,
Probably.
of next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
So,
biggest thing with that is utilizing it though, right? Because you talked about slowing down, taking your time, double checking. If you don't use the button, it's not going to be any good for you. And most of our mistakes, again, just come from people. You're moving fast, fat fingering stuff, just trying to get it live, go, 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 and then that's where the mistakes are made.
yep, yep. And we all make mistakes, and that's why we have compliance. That's why we give you time to fix it. The goal
Yeah.
is obviously accurate data and training, educating people on what's, and try and keep you guys out of trouble a little bit, right? From DOJ fines and things. So everybody have a fantastic week. Enjoy your Halloween, and we'll see you next week, Monday.
Bye.
See ya.